You now are listening to the audio podcast of Prisoners of Hope, the antidote to what ails your heart. I'm your host, Dr. Deborah Whitson. So come on in, pull up a chair, and open up your mind as you get ready to receive the download that hope will bring. Well, hey, it is Dr. D, and it is a great day. And welcome to the third part of a three-part series on spiritual gifts. 1 Corinthians 12:11 says, all of these are the work of one Spirit, and that's the Holy Spirit. He distributed them to each one of us just as He determines. So today we're going to be looking at various assessment tools that the literature has provided to so you can discover what your spiritual gifts are. If you would like to hear a discussion of the 9 spiritual gifts as set forth in the Bible, look at part 1 and part 2 of this series. So, reviewing, the Bible outlines 9 gifts. They are wisdom, faith, healing, miraculous powers, our miracles, prophecy, knowledge, discretion, or distinguishing between spirits, speaking in tongues, and interpretation of the tongues. In the literature, I found various numbers of gifts. I ran across 13 gifts, and these gifts were gifts that were directed toward promoting the church. Some of these gifts were directed toward the inner growth of the church, like prophecy and teaching and the word of wisdom. And then there was other gifts that were directed toward the church outer development, things like miracles, healing, interpretation of the tongues. Then as I look further, I found there was 18 gifts listed. And if you're on the YouTube channel, I highlighted some of the newer ones, and you could see the influence of the church. There's administration, helps, serving. I found anywhere from 15 gifts all the way up to 26 gifts. And again, added by the church. They were craftsmanship, music, production, and next generation. So as you look across the literature, you have anywhere from 13 to 26 gifts indicated. Um, I looked at 3 different assessment tools that were specifically designed to discover what your spiritual gifts are. This is not a mutually exhaustive list. This is just the 3 that I found most interesting and I looked at. The first one is spiritual gifts test.com. That's spiritual gifts, plural with a S, test.com. That was the first one I looked at. And then there was a assessment tool at Red Letter Spiritual Gift Test. Just put that in your search bar, Red Letter Spiritual Gift Test. And then there was a test I found real interesting at giftstest.com. Gifts with a S, plural, test.com. And I'm going to review those 3 different tests. And these were directed toward pinpointing what your spiritual gifts were. The first one was the spiritual gifts with a S, test.com. And if you look at this, it gives you a ranking. It tests 15 different gifts. This assessment does, and it gives you a ranking of how high you rank, or average, and or low you ranked on a specific gift. It took 10 to 12 minutes to complete. And in the end, it gives you your top three gifts and gives you more of an in depth description of those top three tests or gifts that the test said that you had. The next one I looked at was letter spiritual gifts test. I'm sorry, red letter spiritual gift test. And this particular test tests 26 different gifts. So the one before was 15. This one is 26. There are 130 questions, and the questions are long. 10 to 15 minutes. I would say more on the 15-minute end for you to complete. And then it gives you a list of your top 7 gifts. So the one before gives you your top 3. This gives you your top 7. My favorite one was the one at giftstest.com. And it IDs 22 spiritual gifts. There are 66 questions and they're real short. They're quick to answer. It takes about 5, maybe 7 minutes to complete this. And in the end, the results show your top 5 gifts. Okay. So we've got one showing you 3, the other one showing 7, top 7. This one shows top 5. So let's look at a comparison. So the thing you want to do is look for the consistency between the tests that you choose to take. So you spend some time. You got to take more than one test and see if these different tests are not saying the same thing about what your spiritual gifts are. When I looked at the 3 tests that I took, I noticed that teaching was listed in all 3 as one of my spiritual, um, I guess, gifts from God. And knowledge was also listed as all 3. And it makes sense since I was a college professor for so many years. And prophecy was listed in 2 of the 3 tests. So that might be something I would consider because those are consistent results across all 3 tests. Along with consistency on your to do list, you want to ask a trusted or godly friend, what would they say is your spiritual um, gifts? What do they see? Okay, what do they see? You might give them the top 4, 7, 5 that a particular test listed, and ask them what would they consider, or just ask them, give them a list of all the spiritual gifts, and ask them which one do they see in you. Okay, and then last but definitely not least is that you need to ask God. Pray about it. He will tell you. Matter of fact, in James, I call James the book of the tongue. In James 1:5, it says, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, and he gives to all generously without finding fault. You hear that? Without finding fault. And the wisdom will be given to you. So all you have to do is ask, and he will give you that wisdom, that insight. Because remember, some gifts you know about from childhood, and some you're discovering as you walk along the path with God. These gifts are meant to be shared for the common good. And remember, you can have multiple gifts. Some of these gifts you know about, and some you don't. But you need to go out and find out what God has granted you to advance his kingdom. Pick up your custom designed weapons, your gifts, and assume your position. For we all are soldiers in the spiritual fight that rages in heavenly places. Until next time, signing off. Love, Dr. D. My hope is that this journey has been fruitful and you're able to take it and apply it to your life. Until next time, tune in again for the Prisoners of Hope podcast. God bless.